Hey everyone, before we get to this week's show, this is just your weekly reminder to please continue to pray for my wife, Lindsay. She is battling breast cancer right now, and we're praying for complete healing in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Okay, my dad called me up. He had gotten over his bladder cancer at the time. Wanted to get back out with his son again. He called me up. Yo, you want to go Bigfooting tonight? And I was like, sure. So we're out there. We hear a knock. Okay? And he's like, yeah, it's just a wind blowing the trees together. He even shined a flashlight up at this one tree that had been knocking. So, you know, we hear another knock. I'm like, that's off that way, you know? And another knock. And then I think about the fourth knock. I was like, bro, come on. They're getting closer. I was like, they're here. And he goes, listen. He goes, if there's another knock, we'll go out there and look for it. And as soon as that last word leaves his lips, Tony, you hear, right? So we slip out. I've got the little Sony Handycam, the IR on it, just filming. It crosses this gap. The gap's 9.5 feet. It crosses this gap in 1.25 steps, 1.5 steps maybe. We gotta go, get your gun.
That's what your dad said.
That's what my dad said. And mind you, I don't see what's happened. I just hear something take off. My dad had only told me to get my gun a couple times in my life. He's running. I stop him. I'm like, what is going on? You know, and he's like, I seen it. It was looking right at us. It's looking at us. And we can't see it. We're blind. We run back to camp. Ribs still cooking. Ribs get left. Camp's thrown in. We're heading out. We get to the truck and I play the video and I see it. Right. Now, mind you, at this point, I know Bigfoot's real. We're recording?
This is the start of the show.
So the Meadow project is that thermal where they disappear into the woods?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Meadow project, Trey Hudson, undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I always got the location wrong. Whenever I talked about it before I signed an NDA, because like he was on the show and I was like, I think he's in. I was always wrong. I had no idea I was wrong. So, but yeah, they have this meadow that they are researching, and it has a lot of weird things happening in it, and a lot. And the one is that they had this cube portal open up. It showed up on a thermal as a cube, and I think it showed up on 2 different thermals. I think it did. And then it was fading away by the time the team arrived, but you could still faintly see it. But what you do see is heat signatures, once they cross that threshold, disappear.
Okay, so I'm not throwing shade. They may be correct, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen my father's thermal?
Yeah.
The creature also disappears. He crosses that gap and then he disappears. Is it a portal or is it because the foliage is thick?
So we thought the same thing, right?
Right.
One, they said that they never left the meadow to go into the tree line. On the footage, because it's an old thermal, you can't tell the depth. But I keep looking over to Daniel, like he's on the show. Your friend's here in the studio. And I keep looking over like he's part of the conversation, which he was, you know. But it's hard to tell that. Mm-hmm. But if I recall, they never left the meadow. And also, the time of year it was filmed, there was no foliage. So there was nothing to obstruct view.
Because from looking just at it, right, it brought up a question.
Yeah.
Questions to me. Because after the creature in my father's footage clears the gap, the camera goes dead. Those were brand new lithium batteries we put in at the campsite. They had only been in the camera 20 minutes.
We're getting woo-woo already. I love it.
Right. And so I'm thinking then, even though we still heard the creature running, right, did it disappear? Or are they wrong and they don't realize I wasn't there, so I can't make the assumption and be like, oh, these guys are wrong. They just crossed into the foliage. I don't know. Haven't seen the spot, right?
Yeah.
But from just looking at the footage, it brought those 2 questions up to me. You know, did this creature that my dad filmed disappear? It's Florida, the foliage is thick.
Right, yep.
I always thought it just disappeared, but then the camera went dead.
Yeah.
You know, or did it cross into something that we can no longer see.
Right. So, have you seen the Meadow project?
I have not.
It's not that expensive. No, just kidding.
Hey, I don't watch TV, brother.
It's literally not my production. So I was just a character in the documentary. But what we asked that question in the documentary too. Okay. I think I'm the one who brought it up. But I don't think that is an option here.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have the case where the reports of the men themselves that this happened to, one, they're no longer here. They've passed. And
hold on, the people that
the guys who went through that threshold, they're no longer here. They both got one had gotten cancer, and the other one, I forget, but you're talking about radiation. Mm-hmm. We can go there.
We should.
Yeah. But they reported that once they entered the threshold, the environment changed around them. Like it literally, like it was like you were going into something, but they couldn't see what they were going into with their naked eye. Mm-hmm. You could only see it on the thermal.
Right.
They just knew that something changed around them.
Right.
And so the radiation side of it, I think I've mentioned her on the show before with connected to this, but I can't remember. She told me not to say her name. Mm-hmm. I was talking to somebody, a doctor, who strongly suggested that there's a heavy amount of radiation that comes from some of these burial mounds.
Mm-hmm.
And not all of them, but some of them. And she suggested that people who get hit with that radiation tend to die months after. What say you? Because you're nodding like you've thought about this before.
Okay, so my father died of cancer, right? Where I had my first encounters, the same area where my father got his footage, we would see lights all the time. I could call the lights, right? So like my wife now, when we first met, one of the first few things we did, I was like, hey, this is going to sound crazy. We're going to walk up here and sit on this hill and we're going to talk to the woods, see if we can get these lights to show up. I was like, I'm not crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Light showed up. Come in, went around us, blah, blah, blah. It got to the point I was able to show the landowner this. Landowner runs her mouth to her friends. We would have 15 chairs out on the trail and I would call the lights up so her friends, the neighbors, they could all see this, right? The lights touched 2 guys on one occasion. Both died within a year. Cancer ate them up.
Really?
Yep.
Did they ever report having radiation poisoning at all?
No.
With those cases?
Just all of a sudden, aggressive form of cancer and passed away. You know, and you got to figure, I got into this when I had my first encounter. I'm thinking it's just an ape. You know, I had my first encounter. I get on Bigfoot forums and I'm looking at all the people bickering back and forth. These people couldn't kill a known animal. You know, none of them know how to hunt anything. So I'm thinking, Stacy Brown's got this closed out in 6 months, right? I go from thinking it's an ape that nobody's looking for to now I have no idea what these things are. I could tell you they're real.
Yeah.
But you know who does? Our federal government knows these things are.
You're pushing my buttons right now. You have no idea.
Okay, so whether you believe me or not, Tony.
I know.
No. Seriously, you and anybody else. You can look at me right now. I don't care if you believe me. It doesn't matter. When I go to bed at night, you know that 10, 15 minutes where you're in your thoughts? Mm-hmm. In those moments, I'm running through all the encounters I've had. I've only had 3.
Every night?
Every night. Every single night. It never leaves in my head.
That sounds exhausting, man. Really?
It's one of the biggest things in my life.
Yeah, but man.
Right? So like I'm running through this in my mind. I know in that moment that they're real, whether you believe me or anybody.
Right.
Okay, so just give me that. Just give me that Stacy Brown believes what he saw. Okay, if Stacy Brown is real in his truth, in his belief, you mean to tell me Stacy Brown's so special that the federal government doesn't know these things? I'm not. I'm not special. I'm just some dude who was there. You know what I mean? The federal government's got thousands of employees all the way around the country. Well, why wouldn't they know? But I know.
Yeah.
Stacy from Wakulla County, Florida, he knows Bigfoot's real, but Uncle Sam doesn't.
Yeah.
Who got millions of dollars to throw in this?
The same federal government who's now willing to open up and admit that UFOs are a thing.
You believe that if you want to.
You don't think that...
I'm to the point now where I don't even know aliens are real.
Oh, okay. Well, we can go down that road of like...
I don't believe anything that comes out of their mouth.
Okay,
if they say one thing, I'm the exact opposite.
I got you. But before it was coming out of their mouth, other people were saying it.
Well, yeah, of course.
You know?
But you what you see now with the UFO community, which is so exhausting to me, is because I'm getting the text, hey, did you see the congressional hearing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. You know why? Because I got a life. I don't sit around and watch losers sit here and lie to me over and over again. You had the federal government lie to everybody for 50 years.
Yeah.
They're responsible. It's like with Rick Doty, okay? Rick Doty, you are responsible for a man's death. Paul Benowitz, right? Now we're to believe you? You've lied to us for all these years, but hey, guys, you know, it's like you're with the girl who cheats on you all the time, but now she's okay. Now she loves you. Now you're the one. Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
You go ahead and go down that road if you want.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know if people realize that like, he is responsible for somebody's death.
Yes.
And it's green-lighted because he was working for the government.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, you are a terrible person, dude. You ruined the man's family.
Maybe he's reformed. I don't know. But there's a level of responsibility that goes with that.
Yes.
So don't listen to my episodes coming out a few weeks from now. Because I did interview one of the congressmen. But in that conversation, he's part of the JFK files disclosure as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I did ask him, and I asked him from a viewpoint of because I mean, I care. I'm not obsessed, but I care.
Yeah.
But I asked him from the viewpoint of the younger generation. When I say younger, I mean post 9/11, because in the past couple of years, I've becoming very much aware that there is a world of adults that weren't even alive when 9/11 happened, and they grew up in a world that we didn't grow up in, and we view things very differently because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, why should the people care that our CIA government killed a president that happened before most of us were even alive? Like, why should we care about that? And he was pretty transparent with it, I believe, because he was suggesting, you know, knowing how things happened in the past helps us keep an eye on what's going to happen in the future, which I agree with
100%.
But we didn't stay there on the conversation because I wanted to talk to him about the UFO disclosure and things like that. And I actually got him talking about fallen angel technology and like all that, you know. I was like, we're going to go crazy until he turns the power button on his computer, you know? And to credit to him, he stuck with it with me. And I did ask him where the giant Nephilim bones were. But he and I had a good conversation, but the feds knowing, I don't think, well, I guess I can say his name now because by the time this goes out, the episode will out. Eric Burleson. I don't think Eric Burleson knows Bigfoot. I don't think Eric Burleson, the congressman, knows, even though he's part of disclosure, because I think Eric Burleson is being fed and I've had interactions with him. The first time being at Tim Pool's, and I've had interactions with him. We shared like an hour and a half ride back to the airport together. We had a lot of conversation. I get the sense that he is in curiosity mode and he is on this journey of discovery. I don't think he's ever really been into UFOs, but for whatever reason, he became part of this committee, and I get the sense that these Congress people are, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are being given information, and they can only, what they would probably say is, I can only run with the information I've been given.
Right.
And so that's where Crazy Tony comes in, because I can give you information too, from a very different perspective. I can't give you physical proof, but neither can these whistleblowers who are saying that they saw things and did things. Like, they've given videos.
But we can talk about it in a skiff.
Right. Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
like, you said something important there. You said the word fed.
Yeah.
They're being fed what to go on and say.
Okay.
Who's feeding them?
Yeah.
What's their motive?
But do you think that they're all being fed what to say and not, but in conjunction with being given the real scoop and saying, don't say this though? Or do you think, because my thought is this, they're being fed information knowing that the person feeding I know your job is to talk about what I'm giving you. So I'm feeding you cupcakes when I have the steak still in the freezer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going and saying, here's the skinny on it all. You can only say this much. Maybe some of them, but I don't think all of them. I just don't. I think that's a dangerous game to play when you have real information to be out to be giving it to people who could be out of office in 4 years.
Okay, so you've had them lie for so long, the government, right? They're never, ever going to tell you the truth. They are feeding stuff to people like Jeremy Corbell, right?
Yeah.
Who's just, by the way, let's look at that 30,000-foot view. He's just some dude. Why are all of a sudden are congressmen hitting him? It'd be like congressmen calling Stacy Brown and being like, yo, man, hey, this is happening. Let's get you to tell it.
I'm some dude too. Why don't they call me?
Oh, exactly. But
someone would say, well, you talk to a congressman.
That
I try to be as transparent as possible.
They're not feeding these people information. Why would you? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's clear you don't want the information out there.
Yeah.
Now the people are screaming for it. We need it. We need it. We need it. So you're pacifying the baby, so the baby has stopped crying, because you don't want to give the baby another bottle. He's already had 2. You know what I'm saying? So, and now you've got the sphere that's been found and all this, and now there's some object coming from deep space.
What was that called?
The Bolga, or
down in Mexico?
Yeah.
So Burleson brought that up. He went down and looked at it. And I think he suggested, without saying, because Burleson is the kind of person, I don't think he will say anything definitively unless he truly knows. But I think he was suggesting that to him, it actually looked handmade.
It does look handmade.
Yeah. And I used that to launch into, I believe, if I remember correctly, reverse engineered technology. And could this be something that was reverse? Because what was on there looked like sigils. It looked like sigil magic.
Yeah.
So whatever this was might have been able to do something, or can do something, given the correct operator. Which goes right in, and I brought this up to him as well. I had an episode years ago in 2019, I think it was episode 122, Secret Military Enochian Technology. It was like my first episode that kind of went viral-ish. It was wild. Like, I was like, holy crap. I was sitting there, and like after 1 week, I had 100,000 downloads on the podcast. And I was just like, whoa. You know, I was like, I made it. The next week it's like back to 3,000. Like, oh. But I brought it up to him because in that story, Charlie went on a retrieval mission. This is before people were actually talking about these things. He came to me and it's like, I was on this retrieval mission of a downed aircraft. When we got there, it was something I never saw before. He describes it as the same as Michael Herron. I think I'm saying that I always get the local guy that went missing 411 and the guy who saw the UFO during a human trafficking operation confused, because they're similar names.
I think I heard that guy on Sean Ryan.
Yeah, Sean Ryan. Yeah.
Herrera.
Thank you. Michael Herrera is the human trafficking. I think Herron is the local guy that went missing. Anyways, Herrera describes what he describes is a UFO craft with like black, almost like a matte black. I forget how he describes it, but it's very similar to how Charlie described his. The shapes differ. So they differ, but the technology making up the shape seems to be the same in both stories. Cold to touch, But he goes in, and his job on this mission was to retrieve the information off of this tech, and then they were supposed to destroy it with thermite. Now, he's been on mission, I think it was like 4 other missions before this one, with the same crew, so soldiers, but also civilian scientists from like UCLA. They all were familiar with each other on this mission. This is the first mission that they went on that had this kind of thing, and the only one that he recalled. Everything else was normal. But he's looking at it, and he said he pulled out like a manual or something, trying to figure out what this language was that was on the dash. He never saw this before. Mm-hmm. And the scientist came over to him and said, "You're not going to find that in there." Like matter of fact, like he's seen it before, he knew, and he's like, whatever. And he kind of just brushes him off, and he keeps looking. And the scientist doubled down, put his hand down on the manual. He's like, "I'm telling you, you're not going to find it in there." He's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That's Enochian language." And then so you need to get your stuff together. We need to get out of here. And like, he even said, he's like, "Well, what is that?" And he goes, "That's a demon language."
Right.
And so I don't know. I'm not like an expert on anything, right? I'm just a guy that talks to people, right? And we openly theorize about stuff. To me, it seems like that sphere might have a connection to what Charlie saw as far as like inscriptions on technology that I believe, if activated properly, you'll actually see that piece of technology do something if you know how to do it. And we're talking about, magic. And where does this come from? And, you could go all the way down these rabbit holes. But it all kind of, in my perspective, and I haven't spent tons of time talking. In fact, I was thinking about this morning. The first time I ever actually met you, I was in my truck driving through Gatlinburg, and you were walking the sidewalk. And I remember I put down my window, I was like, "Stacy Brown." And, remember that? And then you knew who I was. And I'll tell you what, I put my window up, and I was with my wife, and I said, "I can't believe he knew who I was."
Yeah, I remember you back in the Pennsylvania
Sasquatch research. Yeah. But I was thinking about it this morning about how all this kind of fits together. Mm-hmm. And for me, not trying to speak for you, but I get a sense that you and I think similarly on a lot of stuff. The topic of Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, other realms, Jinn, Skinwalkers, Skinwalker Ranch, mysterious phenomena.
Yeah.
Traditionally, pre-2017, and why I say 2017 is 1, because October is when disclosure started, but 2, January is when my podcast started. So I can only talk about like when I came on the scene, because before the podcast, I was very uninvested in a lot of stuff. All I cared about was like what you said. I was like, I just want to show these idiots how easy it is to find this creature.
Right.
Like I was like, I believe it's out there, and these morons can't find it, But 2017 on, my thought process evolved, and I don't look at these topics so separate as I once did. Mm-hmm. And I think the line gets blurred a lot. The more you look at the details, like you were talking about your dad's footage, and just openly theorizing. You weren't saying facts, theorizing. Could it have transitioned into another realm? I don't know if you said realm, but that's the idea you were saying. The moment you start talking about Bigfoot in that light, it opens the door for all these other topics that do the same thing. UFOs coming in from another realm. Mm-hmm. Creatures in the woods that seem to just disappear. Well, they're just really fast. They're really master camouflagers. Or maybe we are actually living in a supernatural world that we traditionally don't understand. We don't understand, but we're just starting to actually acknowledge it. And all this mysterious weirdness that we have been chasing, the UFO dorks to the Bigfoot dorks to the Dogman dorks, all the dorks have been chasing these categories separately, when really we should have been looking at it all kind of separate but together. It's like,
I said this the last time I was on your show. They're all connected. The way we hunt ghosts and the way we hunt for Bigfoot are so similar. Mm. What do we do to contact ghosts in a house? We rap on the table, we knock. You know what I mean? What do we do when we're out in the woods? We knock on the trees.
Yeah.
Where does knock on wood come from?
You
know, it's an old.
Where does it come from?
It's an old pagan thing.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yes, they would go out and talk to the wood spirits. They would say their intentions, what they needed. They would knock on the trees. They would then get replies.
Wow.
And if they got replies, their wish or their whatever would come to fruition, and they would feel better about themselves and go back in, that maybe the curse or whatever is going to be lifted, you know. So you have the sulfuric smell associated with demons. You have a smell that's associated with the aliens. You have a smell that's associated with Bigfoot.
And Dogman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people researching these things and the experts, they don't do themselves any favors, right? Like if you're trying to get, because ultimately, like what I would like is that the minds are open across the country. We have more people, you know, open this, believing in this stuff through podcasts like yours, right? And so, hey, maybe I did. They wouldn't talk themselves out of, maybe I did see a dog man. But why would you call it a dog man? Why would you throw some stupid name like dog man on that when we've been talking about werewolves for last 1,000 years? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where the Dogman name came from. Like, do you think it's simply because psychologically, when people started talking about it, they felt silly saying werewolf, so they started giving it a name that was similar to Bigfoot? Like you got Bigfoot, Dogman. I don't know.
Well, why would you say mind speak when we got scientists that are studying telepathy? Telepathy's been a real thing.
Yeah.
Why would you put something mind speak? Like, do you have to be different? Because all you're doing is making yourself sound very non-intelligent.
So the mind speak side of it,
yeah.
Do you think that maybe they call it mind speak because traditionally everything was so psychologically separate in people's minds when they're looking into things that it couldn't be telepathy because that's that over there. So we're going to call it mind speak over here, even though it's the same thing.
I almost think it's because they didn't know what telepathy was. Makes no sense. Like if you're trying to get scientists on board, why would you throw a new term in there that's going to be off-putting? Because it's off-putting to me, right? And I'm a cynic. Yeah. And when I hear that term, I shut down.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if you mention mind speak, I'm out. Right. You say telepathy, I'm there. Right. Gotcha. Because, you know.
So if they called it the mind speak tapes, you wouldn't have listened.
I'm done talking. You know, I'm done talking.
I still haven't listened to telepathy tapes, and everybody told me I should listen to it.
It's interesting.
Is it?
I think it's hogwash, but it's interesting.
There's definitely some things that were omitted from that podcast that people have been, especially the Christian perspective was removed from the recordings, a lot of it, from what I heard.
And why is that?
Yeah. Well, you know, my viewpoint is irrelevant because I'm a Christian. So of course I would say that, you know, but I think that these topics do cross a lot.
They do cross.
You started out, I don't know, actually, I don't know how you started out. In fact, let me do that because before I even get into you talking about things outside of Bigfoot, I don't know if you started out with Bigfoot or if you started somewhere else. But one thing I realized, and I do a lot of mental preparation for this stuff. I don't really come in with a real game plan. But one thing that I was thinking about was I remember Stacy Brown Sr., the name Stacy Brown Sr. I was like, I don't know his dad's story. Like, I don't know, did Stacy Brown Jr. get into Bigfoot because his dad was in it? Was his dad, what was your dad's story? Because I've never even talked about the footage, the Brown footage on this show. I don't think you and I have ever talked about that footage together, let alone the last time you were on the show. So I was like, man, like there's a lot of things to tap with this conversation. But like, maybe let's start with your dad. Like, was it that your dad was into these topics? Was he a researcher? Was he a well-known researcher?
No, he was a retired Army Ranger, okay? And he had Crohn's disease. So that's how he became retired. Like in the 80s, they didn't know what Crohn's was. So he spent a section of 8 months in the hospital and trying to figure out what was wrong with him. Then they tried to get him to do something that was a little bit lighter than the Ranger squad, you know? So then I think they moved him to mechanized to try that a little bit because he did not want to get out. He loved being a Ranger. That was his thing. He felt it was his purpose. And And then he got sick again in the hospital for 6 months. And then they're like, hey, bud, we're just going to retire you. Gave him full.
Broke his heart.
Killed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what he wanted to do. But he became, from a young age, became my best friend. Right. And then he brought the curse of the Miami Dolphins upon me. So, he bestowed that on me. But one of the things we did do was he loved these shows like Sightings. I don't know if you remember that show from the early 90s that had the guy that was
I didn't have cable in the early 90s. So
okay,
no.
So the guy that was on Star Trek, The Next Generation, he was the host of Sightings. And then there was Unsolved Mysteries, So we always watch them shows.
Yeah.
So aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts. But Bigfoot was always, for me, that was like, I've been looking for Bigfoot seriously since I was like 6. I got buddies that I grew up with that will attest to this. We'd go in the vacant lot across the street from my house, and I'd have a little VHS camcorder on. And my dad, so after he got out, he taught like self-defense classes, because he's a big martial arts guy. And so he had all these weapons, nunchucks, all that stuff. Yeah. So me and my friends are carrying these into the woods to go find Bigfoot. We'd hear something, we'd come running out. Yeah. But so that's kind of how it started. And then we, I guess, really went Bigfooting together probably in my 20s, early 20s.
Was he interested or just interested in hanging out with his son?
I think it was that.
Yeah.
Because my mom, my sister, my ex-wife, nobody was going in the swamps with us.
Yeah.
We were going off in Bradwell Bay. And I know you don't know what that means, but I promise you.
You said swamp before that though. So
Yeah. So you think, how bad can the mosquitoes be? Go to Bradwell Bay and just grab.
No.
And you grab, and they're just in your hand dead. Most of the year that place is waist deep in water.
Crocodiles,
alligators.
Oh yeah, alligators.
Yeah, so we don't have the crocs that far up.
How big do the snakes get?
Big as you want.
Really?
Yeah,
so that's a problem.
Water moccasins are the main thing.
Yeah,
they're the most venomous snake in North America, and so being in Bradwell Bay, you have like an hour, 2 hours tops, depending on how your body reacts to the venom. You could die within 30 minutes.
Wow.
So it's a game over kind of thing. Right.
So you're running around those.
Yeah. Well, they're hanging out, putting up game cameras. Dad had found this place called Osmic Research or something, and they made these Sasquatch pheromone chips. Have you ever seen them?
No.
I wish I'd have known that because I'd have brought them.
Sasquatch pheromone chips.
They are pungent, brother. They're like,
they work.
So they're all... This is going to be gross.
Do it.
But they're vaginal secretions from all primates.
Okay, didn't expect that gross.
Yeah, I told you, bro. Wow. But they're impregnated into this little like plastic chip.
Okay.
And you hang them up. And, so that's how they got the Skookum cast. The big body print cast?
Yeah.
Those were used in that. And so Dad was a book guy. He would read books. I'm a guy that cannot read a book. Like, I just can't sit still long enough.
Mm-hmm.
More of a visual, right? But so he had read all this stuff, and he's like, yo, we got to do this. We got to do that, And we were very much hunting Bigfoot, but nobody. We didn't think there was anything out there. We're in Florida. You know what I mean? Fun. When you think it's Bigfoot, you're thinking the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Which years later, where I'm at now, the first Bigfoot report in America from a white man comes from Florida. We have the most Bigfoot reports. I know BFRO's got like 300 something. I've taken over 750 myself. Wow. So it also, to me, makes no sense. If it's like my buddy Cliff, they're claiming this thing's a primate. They're beating that drum to death. Why would the primate be somewhere where it has to hibernate? Makes no sense, brother. There's only like maybe 1-2 species of primate that live in a freezing climate. Everybody else is tropical down near the equator.
Oh, so you're talking about the Pacific Northwest? I got you. Okay, I was thinking of Florida. I was like, well,
yeah. So we don't have that. We have reptiles. Gotcha. You can. The food is plenty.
Yeah.
So that made us think, we're not going to try that hard. We're never really going to come into anything,
Pause for a second before you keep going. So I just want to understand your psychological approach here.
Mm-hmm.
You're out there Bigfooting, hunting Bigfoot, not really believing there's even a Bigfoot out there. So you're out there going through motions, enjoying time with almost like a fantasy at the end of the tunnel. It's just like, yeah, we're going out here hunting Bigfoot. There ain't no Bigfoot out here, but we're going to have fun doing it.
We believe in Bigfoot, though.
You believed in it, but you didn't believe it was actually out there where you were.
Right.
So you were just going out there just practicing, having fun.
Yeah.
I got you.
We're putting in miles.
Yeah.
Like we're seriously covering some area nobody ever goes into. And it was funny because that area we were in, once my dad's footage is released, we run into a man that we went to church with. I knew from when I was 6. This guy almost arrested me one time when I was a teen, or like around 19 or so, because we were on the river and like I was peeing off the front of the boat. We come around the corner and there's FWC standing there looking at me. And I'm like, oh, great. Anyways, he made me paddle the boat back.
Stacy, is that you?
Yeah. But so we see this. We run into this guy. Right. And he's like, hey, why don't y'all come to the house in a couple hours? Can y'all come to the house? I got something to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we come to the house, and a respectable guy, seriously, he tells us that when he first started and he was a forest ranger, there was a fire in the Bradwell Bay area in 97, huge fire. There were people from all over the country because we had a terrible drought that year. He ran over a Bigfoot.
He ran over a Bigfoot?
Ran over a Bigfoot.
What kind of vehicle?
He was in it was a big Super Duty kind of truck, okay?
Really?
They're out there fighting forest fires.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
And from what he claimed, his job was to ride around and look for injured animals that had made it out of the woods to the road and try to save what they could. Okay. And so he runs the thing over and kills it, right? He doesn't describe it like everybody else does, though. His has got a snout, okay? But not like a dog snout, more like a baboon snout, okay? And they load it up in the back of the truck. They call it in.
And this is fire rescue.
Yeah.
That's what he's
forestry. Yeah. So they call it in. 2 other guys come out from the FWC. They take it. They have to go back and give a report. They're still like, he said when they were coming around the corner, he said, I was driving faster than I should have been. And he felt bad about this. He did not want to kill the thing. Right. He's a hunter, but he's not a murderer. Right. Comes around the corner, thing comes out on all 4s, hits it right over the shoulder, just jacks it right across the back of the neck with the wheels. Right. Takes all 4 of the guys to pick it up. Right. Those other guys take the body. They're filling out the report within an hour. There are guys there in suits. They don't know who they are. And they're like, yo, take us back out where this happened. Goes out there with them. The guys basically tell him, you hit a bear. You ran over a bear. Don't get smart. Don't test us. We'll ruin your whole career. We'll ruin your whole family. Started spouting off family member names and stuff like that. He's like, brother, don't bring this upon yourself. You hit a bear. If anybody ever asks you anything, you hit a bear. And so he tells us this story. This is the same spot we were walking around in. And the reason we picked this area is because the creek there is called Monkey Creek. We had no idea.
Not Bear Creek.
Not Bear Creek.
Monkey Creek.
Monkey Creek, right? And so that was...
Is this where the film was shot too? The footage?
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
No.
Smoking gun.
Yeah, no. But so that we were both like, oh, wow. The whole time we were out there and those things we thought were bear tracks may not have actually been bear tracks. Because we would find tracks.
Yeah.
They weren't huge. But the guy said this thing wasn't massive either. But he said it had hands like us, had knees like us, had feet like us, and he let me record him, but I could never show his face. However, once he passes away, which I may pass away first at this point, this dude's like still kicking. I seen him not long ago. Then I could tell his name and his story and all that, you know.
So does the threat lose its bite when he's gone then, you think, with the family side of it?
I think so.
Yeah.
He thinks so.
Yeah.
You know?
That's interesting.
Then does the threat get passed to me? You know, does the family
please come here and talk about it?
Yeah.
I long for those kind of stories. Tell me how the man's after you because of Bigfoot.
Does the family come after me because they don't want his name desecrated?
Yeah.
For some stuff that I got him on tape. I got his face talk about the story. So,
I mean, with that story, I mean, that alone takes us right back to the Fed side of it, right? Like you were talking about earlier. With the emotion that you were discussing, the Fed being in the know, does the majority of that emotion you displayed come from that story you just shared?
No.
So
that was I believed him. I knew him. But come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, here's the thing. So with that story, they could have told him, I'm gearing up for the why here. So they could have told him, you saw a bear, without actually going out there. Oh yeah, come on over here. Let's interview you real quick. You saw a bear. Why'd they need to go to the location? And it makes me wonder, is there something about the location they needed to see for their own purpose? They knew what it was from the jump, but they need to know where this happened. And why is that? It takes me right back to the Meadow and the idea of the soft spots in our existence and where things can pass in and out. And then maybe are they keeping track of those soft spots? I don't know.
Go in and eradicate.
Camp out and wait for them to pop in.
They just send the troops in. I've got another guy who we're working. We'll talk about this later or whenever.
Or now, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm starting. Okay, so like after my daddy passed away, I was telling you about a certain individual kind of celebrated my father's death.
Yeah. I
backed out. I don't need to make videos for the Bigfoot community anymore or for anybody else. So I'm still doing stuff. And I got this one property where the owner, when he first had his encounter there, his family's encounter, they told the DNR, whatever it is in Alabama. And then like, there's not only him, but other people that live in the neighborhood are talking about there were guys there. They shot and killed something with like automatic weapons. It took place over an hour. Right. It just guns just going off. And so I believe that's a lot of their.
And where was this at?
This is in Alabama. So what I've started is the Alabama Bigfoot Project. It's a long-term like habituation site. This guy just gets visited over and over and over again. And we've collected handprints. The audio is crazy. The audio is, this guy's got like 8 terabytes. He records 24/7 every single day. He doesn't have the funds to really do what he could, but now we've got 24/7 thermal camera running on our bait station there. We've got 9 like long duration recorders and stuff out there, but he also talks about when he told the government, after that there were drones flying over and then there was a lot of automatic gunfire one night. So
from the government people,
that's what he assumes. He didn't see them.
So was it on his property?
No. So he lives on one piece of property, and then there's like this lease. It's not really a lease. It's like a pine tree farm, more or less, right? Like a logging company owns this land, right? And there's a lot of land. So, but that's, you hear it all the time and you think, why would they be killing these things? Right. So I don't have the answers to that. I can theorize.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do here. So, the federal side of it, the feds knowing and interfering, it's a soft spot for me right now. It's kind of a very frustrating situation I find myself in as we record this. I haven't talked about this publicly to this point because it's so new. I just found out last week that one of the areas that I would go to hunt me some creatures, I was charged there by an invisible force.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one that experienced it. Joel was with me right after that experience. Like immediately, like 20 seconds after, we hear this loud scream behind us and what sounded like monkeys going off in the woods, to the point that you hear us on audio, because Jack was there and they called in to us and like, are you guys clowning around? Like, we're not clowning around. There's monkeys going off with, like, you hear us say it, right? That whole area where we had that interaction is the same area that Scott Carpenter got a lot of his experiences. It's not the Portal location that he filmed. That's a different location. But I got a picture sent to me last week. It's a big gate to enter that area. It says federal land, no trespassing.
Of course.
And I'm like, what the heck?
You shouldn't have talked about it.
And I know.
I hate
that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
That's how it is.
Because like you know, like we were talking about this before we started recording. I just live, I'm Tony Merkel.
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am. I don't think I'm anything special.
Right.
And it's, you have these kind of conversations and you're like, nah, they're not listening. Not listening. And then that happens. And I'm like, up till that happening, that entire area was open hunting land. Mm-hmm. And now it's federal government. And Brian said that when he discovered it, he said there was helicopters, drones, and loud banging happening. It's like trees going down. I don't know what they're doing back there, but it's now federal land and no trespassing in the exact spot that all this craziness happens.
Oh, you got to trespass sometimes.
My wife told me not to catch a felony, and I told her, I said, I work for myself, so you can't tell me what to do. Like, what am I going to do? Get fired if I catch a felony?
Well, so, okay.
I shouldn't be saying that on the show. Jack, edit that out. Mute that part out.
It's probably, all right, here's the deal. We'll, and these are my thoughts, right? Because you have the gatekeepers, and I used to never think this. Like, okay, so when I had my first sighting, I made one YouTube video. It had 6 plays. A producer from the Howard Stern was one of those 6. He's like, hey, we're pitching a show with Dr. Meldrum. I want to put you on it. I was like, whatever. He sends me to Meldrum. I stay a week with Meldrum.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, right out the gate, right? From that point on, I send all my stuff to Meldrum. Every single thing that I've captured. Audio, tracks. He was one of the first people to see the footage. He was one of 5 people that got to view the footage and tell me what he thought. Okay. Thanksgiving, I can't remember the year, probably 2015, 2016. The guy that owns Ameritrade is sitting at Thanksgiving with his brother who owns the Chicago Cubs. Okay. The guy from the Chicago Cubs is interested in Bigfoot. His brother from Ameritrade says some mean things to him, cracks jokes, whatever. This offends the guy from Ameritrade's wife. She says, I'll give you $2 million to go find Bigfoot. So she calls Dr. Meldrum. Dr. Meldrum picks 6 places around the country to show up with people who are loaded to the teeth, brother. Guns, everything, mercenaries, to go and kill a Bigfoot, to go and find a Bigfoot, right? The spot in Florida, which if you'll hear his bear ratio to Bigfoot sightings, there's not many Bigfoot in Florida, right? And then to tell me these tracks that I'm pulling out of there are most likely human or they're stamps, which the people that own the property are old, brother. They're not coming out here. They didn't know we had an encounter last night. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Why are you pushing the ape? If you've done any kind of research, you're not at that level. Stop it. Stop pushing this. You know you've seen the lights. If you've done the research, brother, I go into this with an open mind, open book. I'm not the detective who shows up and like, what did the witness tell me? The witness told me it was a guy with a mullet with a Billy Joel t-shirt on. Okay. I'm not about to arrest a black guy because he doesn't have the Billy Joel t-shirt or the mullet. I'm looking for the things that the witnesses are reporting. You stay out in the woods long enough, you will see the lights.
I've seen them.
The portals. I don't know about that. I haven't seen a portal. I can't speak on that. But if I see it, I'll tell you. What continues? We haven't found a body in 60 years. Okay. What's the best piece of footage since the Patterson-Gimlin film? Arguably, it's my dad's.
I agree.
Brother, we're some of the dumbest people in the world. We shouldn't be head of the class. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, does this make sense? I would use the R word here, but that's...
Yeah, I got you.
We're
mentally held back.
Yeah, we're not scholars, okay? We're not the respected type. So with that said, then why do we have this? I got all this audio? I got all this stuff. Why don't y'all? Are you not looking? Like, what's going on? How come the Bigfoot community hasn't moved forward in 60 years? And why are you continuing to pound your head into the wall about it being an ape?
Okay, so I think it has moved forward because of people like you and me. And I say you and me as at the table, not me specifically, but like mentality. Right. I think we have moved it forward, but I do think that there are people who, and this I think is a human nature more than I've been hired to be a plant nature. But I think there's a human nature where people come into a situation, an equation of something with their own worldview, preconceived notions. And some people are much more stubborn on letting go of what is comfortable to them with new information that comes in. And some people don't have, like for me, this is where I excel. I have the imagination to think outside of what I personally believe to see what might be happening.
Right.
Some people don't have that. And the more you find with these topics, if you don't come to these topics and you find this crazy stuff going on, if you don't come to that equation as a religious person with the supernatural worldview of, yeah, there's a lot of really crazy things that go on in this world, I can see how it would be really hard to climb that wall and peer on the other side and admit that's what you just saw.
I can't agree with you on that. I can't see why it would be hard if you're an intelligent person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you push science, right? The science 100 years ago would tell you the stuff that's going on right now is witchcraft.
Yeah.
So what's just to say that science hasn't caught up? Like I was on Cliff and Bobo's show and Cliff sat there and told me what I was doing was a circus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like Cliff. I have no problem. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm not talking noise. It's just what he said. Why are you banging your head? Who's telling you to put us on this route? Are the Bigfoot aliens? Are they coming through another dimension? Is all this stuff connected? Because you can't, honestly, and you'll agree there's gatekeepers in this community, correct?
Yeah. I would say socially at least.
Yes. They get to all the conferences, all the evidence comes through them.
Yeah.
Right? So like for right now, Cliff is blowing up the Darby Orcutt DNA study. It's not a DNA study. We had a handprint from the property in Alabama on a board. I called Doug Highcheck, talked to everybody. How do I collect this? So now I got the samples, right? Hopefully get skin cells. Call Darby. It's Darby tell me, brother, we don't even know how to do that. All we're doing is looking at hair under a microscope. Okay, you guys have came forward and be like, we're looking for hair that doesn't have a medulla. Why? Like, seriously, why? I can't be the only person that's thinking this. Like, where did you get that there's no medulla? Did you pluck one off of a Bigfoot yourself? And where did we just dream that up? Like, so now you're looking for hair that has no medulla and you're stowing away. I'm yet to hear the answer. You need to look at everything. But you've got these gatekeepers that are telling you, no, their eyes don't glow. That's hogwash. That's hogwash. That's paranormal. Well, any primate that their eyes glow or shine. You hit them with a flashlight, there's not a primate on the planet that their eyes will reflect. So if they're not glowing, they're reflecting. Okay, so then the reflection also has to be a paranormal thing. So which one is it? Is it paranormal or is it paranormal? You know what I mean? The only thing, I believe it's Neanderthal was the last primate that has that. Right? I could be wrong on that. There may have been one more. But I think the last one was Neanderthal. Everything we've been taught about Neanderthals was wrong. What do you think when you think of Neanderthal? You think Geico caveman. Think again, buddy. They're covered in hair.
Got your hairstyle too.
Yeah. I don't know these curls, bro. But I think we may be dealing with that. You know, I think there may be, I don't know. It just, for the gatekeepers, for the people that control the community, they speak at all the conferences. They're talking down to the people, and I don't know how they're ignoring the noise of the ever-growing. More and more people are coming out and talking about the strange, and here we got these gatekeepers who've never seen a Bigfoot telling you what we're looking for on a Bigfoot.
Because they research data.
Because they read books or whatever. Your little books. Good. Yeah. Good. Tell me how the leaves feel in your book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did experience that a little bit. I think it was 2 years ago. I spoke at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. And I think, if I remember correctly, I probably was the only woo-woo person on there. And I say woo-woo tongue in cheek. Like, I mean, like I'm just, the way I describe me, I am a Christian who has a supernatural worldview. So when I look at these topics, I look at through those lenses. And that is defined as woo-woo. It's defined as crazy, weird guy, dumb guy. I don't know. But I was on stage, with, we were doing the round table. It was Moneymaker, Renee, Cliff. I guess Moneymaker had a guy there that was doing something. I forget who else was up there, but and somebody, they took a question, and somebody directed the question at me. I think it was about dogmen coming through portals at a Bigfoot conference with those guys. and I was sitting at the end of the stage, and I just kind of like leaned forward and looked at all of them like, "Hi, I'm Tony Merkel, and I'm weird." and I proceeded to answer the question the best I could. You know, and I always get uncomfortable with situations because I'm not a researcher. I talk about the stuff, you know. If anything, my research just comes from talking, openly brainstorming, and hearing people's experiences. And, you know, you had an experience. Tell me how you view your experience. And I take that in, and I take this person's in, and I start molding my own thing of what I feel with all the stuff that I've heard. But to say that I'm a researcher, like Cliff's a researcher. Yep. Who else was it? Shane Corson was there too. Researcher, you know. That's not me, you know. And I'm comfortable with that, you know. When I did that event, I was struggling with a lot of that stuff. But now I've come to the understanding that I'm unique. I'm Tony, the story guy. I have stories. After listening to hundreds of them, I'm pretty good at telling stories. So I can regurgitate what I've heard in a way that is palatable for an audience. But I'm not going to stand out there and pretend that, you know, I'm a researcher. Right. I'm a guy who talks about the topics and enjoys going out on an adventure. You know, like in a similar mindset as you, when you were saying how you didn't believe that Bigfoot was in that location, you were just going out there. It's kind of how I am in the sense that, like, whenever I go out, I have zero expectation I'm actually going to see something, but I enjoy it. It's fun, you know? And I was just telling the guys that I go out with and stuff, I was like, that's what I'm in all this for. Like, I just want to have fun. I just want to go out there and have fun. I'm not really interested in studying data before I go out there to strategize. I just want to go out there like an ape dragging my knuckles on the ground and have some fun.
Well, there's value in that. There's value in not looking into anything. Like, if I had to talk to a brand new researcher right now, I'd say, turn your internet off. Do not read anything. Don't listen to any of these people. Go out there. All you need to know is that you think Bigfoot is real. Go out there and learn the rules yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need it's a power of suggestion. If you're thinking of things
so
a
true.
certain way and you go out there, you're going to find that. You need to go out there with no rules, no set forth. We're going to, like the BFRO has this little manual they give to everybody that comes on their trips. It's like the little green book, the little green man, you know, their little analogy for what you are compared to a Bigfoot. You don't need that. You don't need none of that. Just go out there and experience. Go sit in the woods, learn from your own experience. And that's where I'm at.
Entering into the equation of going out there with preconceived notions definitely can steer your psychological approach into different directions that may never have gone, and you're already going out there with a customized experience then,
right?
And so I can see the value in just kind of going out there with no agenda other than just, and that's what we do. That's what I do. I mean, I always say it. I feel like a broken record. I go out there, I exist in the environment and let it unfold around me.
Yep. Sometimes
you have crazy stuff happen, and sometimes it's crickets, and sometimes, like the one time, it was completely boring until the last hour. and I was just like, did that really just happen? You know? So yeah. So let's talk about the footage.
Okay.
So you call it your dad's footage. So is your dad the one that filmed it?
He was holding the camera.
He was holding the camera. You were there though.
I was holding the other camera.
Who was all there, and how were you guys aware something was there, or did you guys?
So, okay, my dad called me up. He had gotten over his bladder cancer at the time. Wanted to get back out with his son again. He called me up. Yo, you want to go Bigfooting tonight? And I was like, sure. I was riding with my mother-in-law at the time to work. I was like, pick my bags up and stuff from the house. Come get me. We'll go out there. And the reason we were in this spot is because it was like 10 miles from where I had my first encounter, right? And then Finding Bigfoot had came to Carolyn's house. Okay. It's the second episode where Bobo famously falls down the stairs. Right. Which Bobo, I've done that too. Don't feel bad.
He's like, man, why'd you have to bring that up?
Yeah, right. And so we're there. We go down to the Rock Creek campground, which is about a mile and a half downhill in the woods. Okay. It's a Tuesday night. It's rained a little bit during the day. It's rained about an inch, but it's never poured down. It's more like Seattle rain. You know, it just kind of drizzled, right? So the ground's soft. We get out there, we're cooking some ribs. My dad doesn't believe in Bigfoot. Okay. Thinks it's cool. He knows that because once I had my encounter, I went all in. I was a touring musician. I quit.
Really?
I quit my music to pursue Bigfoot. Right. And now years later, I believe that God put me on this path off the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Because I was doing a lot of all that on the better life, right? Through a Bigfoot. We'll get into that later if that's what you want to. That is my belief, right? Why I seen it. And so he sold his boat so he could buy a thermal camera, you know, and we were going to get back to it as soon as he got better. Well, he's better, right? So we're out there. We got some ribs on the grill, and we hear a knock. Okay. And I'm like, ears are perking up. I'm like, Dad, did you hear that? You know? And he's like, yeah, it's just a wind blowing the trees together. He even shined a flashlight up at this one tree that had been knocking. So, you know, he's like, that's all this is. Right. And so, we hear another knock. And I'm like, that's off that way, you know? And he's like, whatever, you know, not paying attention. Another knock. And then I think about the fourth knock. I was like, bro, come on. They're getting closer. I was like, they're here. And he goes, listen, if there's another knock, we'll go out there and look for it. And as soon as that last word leaves his lips, Tony, you hear, and it was like it strained or put it all in there.
You heard a grunt.
Oh, yeah. It was like, you know. And then he goes like that. You know, he's looking at me. And I'm like, let's go, bro. And so crank the music up, right? And so the palmettos in May were they were fairly high, right? And the cicadas were like super loud. You could not hardly hear yourself walk.
Really?
So it's kind of like the perfect storm,
Mm.
right? So we slip out. I've got the little Sony Handycam, the IR on it, just filming us. It doesn't see maybe me to you, right? This is 2012.
Yeah.
Okay. Little mini DV.
It doesn't feel that long ago, but it actually is.
Technology wise, especially.
Yeah.
Right. I'm holding on to his shoulder. He's got a little headlamp on red mode. Okay. So he's like got his fingers kind of spaced a little bit. So if he needs to see the ground, but he switches it to black hot because the trail looks like, because the water's kind of collected, the trail's a low spot, worn spot. And we're scared of snakes, right?
Me too.
You do not want to get bit by a snake out here. Okay. So he's got it on black hot. So, and it looks like it's snowed. The ground's white because it's colder. Following it around, hear a noise over here, hear a noise over here. He turns down what we believe is the blue trail, right? But it's a very worn game trail. Following him, mind you, it's dark, okay? Takes about 20 minutes to get from camp to where the film site is. And that's just snail's pace moving, right? So you could probably, if you just regularly walked it, take about 4 or 5 minutes, right? Not that far. I hear something coming down the ridge, right? Let me back up. This part of Florida is hills. Looks like a mini Tennessee,
Okay.
right? Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Stops at this tree. My dad's like, oh, I see it. Right?
Your dad says this.
Yes, he says that. So he stops. He's like, I see it. And so you're hearing kind of a scurrying on the tree, right? And then he's like, oh, it's a coon. It's a coon. He's seeing it sticking out of one side. And in his defense, the little scurrying on the tree sounded like a raccoon.
Mm.
Well, it's 2 coons. It's now sticking out of both sides. Okay? It's so dark this night, Tony, you cannot see your hand in front of your face.
Okay.
Right? My dad steps forward. I don't know if he broke a branch or popped the palmetto or whatever happened. Something happened. It crosses this gap. The gap's 9.5 feet. It crosses this gap in 1.25 steps, 1.5 steps, maybe. Right? We got to go. Get your gun.
That's what your dad's saying.
That's what my dad said. And mind you, I don't see what's happened. I just hear something take off. I don't see it. And my dad goes into a full-blown panic. Like you see on the video, you see my dad go from skeptic to full believer immediately. My dad's not an actor. He's in a panic, right? My dad had only told me to get my gun a couple times in my life, right? And that wasn't something Daddy throws around. Mm. Daddy handles stuff with his hands.
Ex-Ranger.
Right? So when he says, get your gun, I'm like, oh, so I got this 44 Magnum. I pull this 44 Magnum, Ruger Red Hawk. I'm like, what is it? What is it? What I'm scared of is a big cat. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? That me in the woods, I'm the guy with the googly eyes on the back of his head if I'm by myself so the damn cat don't jump me, terrified. I'll handle a bear, no problem, whatever. Cats, forget it, But that's what I'm thinking. We saw a cat. He was big. He was looking at us. We got to go. This cameras went dead. All we have is this little headlamp. You can't, it's like 5 lumens. You can't see 3 feet in the woods with the damn thing, He's running. I stop him. I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, it's me. He can't catch his breath. He's like, I seen it. It was looking right at us. It's looking at us. And we can't see it. We're blind. He's looking at it and it's like a strategic. He's like, it ran. It's cutting us off. It's in here somewhere. We got to get out of here. We run back to camp. Ribs still cooking. Ribs get left. Camp's thrown in. We're heading out at a brisk pace. These things, these noises are following us all the way up the trail. You still hear them. It wasn't just, we filmed one. There, in my opinion, there was like 3 or 4. you know, multiples. I think we were just happened to be on the creek. They were coming down the creek pushing deer or doing whatever. And it sounded like they were having fun. I look back at it, it's almost like Clown World because they're just running all over the place. You're hearing these sounds. And at the time, I didn't think it was a Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
You didn't?
Not at the time.
So you still didn't know what you guys were running from?
I still at this point have no idea. I know whatever he saw is following us, right? And he ain't mentioned the word Bigfoot.
So you're thinking cat. I can understand.
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, we're about to get eaten.
Yeah.
You know? And so go back up that trail, you bang a hard right and then an immediate left, and you're in a Boy Scout campground. And then beyond the Boy Scout campground is the parking lot, right? We come up. Once we bang the hard right.
So you're on foot right now.
On foot, oof. Yeah. Right. And so once we bang the hard right, the noises stop. Whatever's following us has backed off. We get to the truck and I play the video and I see it. Right. Now, mind you, at this point, I know Bigfoot's real. Okay. The first time I saw Bigfoot, I called my dad the next morning and I told him what happened. And he's like, people have been hunting Bigfoot for 60 years, Stacy. You saw a Bigfoot and you're about to come home? And I said, yeah, it's a plan. And he's like, you come to the house, I'm going to punch you in the face. Right? Like, he's just messing around. I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully he was messing around.
But you didn't go home.
Yeah, did not go home. Did not find out. But so we're sitting there in the truck and I see it, right? On the little mini DVR. And I'm like, look at him like, Dad, you mean to tell me people have been looking for Bigfoot for 50 years and now you're ready to go to the house? We just filmed one and now you want to leave? They're down there. And he's like, oh, he remembers what he had told me, you know? And he's like, all right, smart ass, here's the camera going back down there by yourself. And I was like, no, I'm good. We can roll to the house. But it was, my dad went from, in that moment, he believed, okay? And I hate when people do this. Small Town Monsters did this too. Alex did this. My dad then went to a denial a couple days later. Who do you got running around in the woods? I'm like, Dad, I don't have friends like that. I don't have friends running around butt naked a mile and a half in the woods. Mind you, we're in Torreya State Park, which is also in the middle of nowhere. Like you're 45 minutes maybe from the closest store, like the closest gas station. You're nowhere out there, you know? So, right. And so I'm wanting to throw it out there. And he's like, we can't put this out. Nobody's going to believe us. We know what we got, you know? My dad's like,
can you imagine how many people in the world have footage and have the same mentality that your dad had? I can't put this out.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
100%. Because I said, there's got to be some way we could put this out.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, I don't care. I don't want it going out. People are they're going to, you know, and then, so we don't talk about it. He comes back, he goes, how about this? You see if you can get somebody else that's respected to do recreation, investigation, whatever, on the footage, and then we'll put it out. But get somebody that has no skin in the game. That way, if they end up coming back with this was a person, then we know somebody was messing with us, and that's another issue. Right?
Yeah.
So, sent 5 people, Clipper Rackman, Derek Randalls, Meldrum, the Facebook Find Bigfoot guys. Do you remember them?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Anyways, they pushed that Rick Dyer hoax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The freezer Bigfoot thing? Yeah.
Well, the second one.
Oh, he did too?
Oh, he's done 3.
3?
Nails people every time.
Well, you know, I guess everybody's got their careers.
You should really have him on. Like, just to hear his story. I was on a movie with him. They needed a hoaxer for the movie, and I'm like, let me call this guy. Russell knows him.
Legit,
yeah.
The most legit.
But how he tells you how he did it and everything.
Oh, maybe I will.
Insane. It's such a good conversation. But yeah, so Cliff says, okay. Me and my dad drive back and forth to the site over the next 8 months, getting numbers for Cliff, you know, and my dad didn't want to go and find a Bigfoot. Cliff the whole time's like, "Hey, Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown." And my dad's like, "No, you know, I don't want nobody making fun of me. Really, I don't need this. I don't want to go to the gas station and somebody know me to be the Bigfoot guy." And at that point, I think Bobo had seen it. Moneymaker had seen it, you know. And Cliff's like, "I promise you, no one is going to make fun of you. You don't understand what you have here, Mr. Brown." And so then we did the show. Bobo did the recreation. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see but I know how big Bobo is.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bobo looked like a little gummy bear.
Yeah.
Because that gap that it crossed in like 1.25, 1.5 steps, right? Bobo takes 2.5 to get across. And Bobo's trying. The arm length is not there. And that was the Renee looks at us and she said, "I don't know what you've filmed. I don't believe in Bigfoot, but I think I don't know what you've filmed." You know what I mean? And then so Cliff debuts the footage at the FLIR conference, the International FLIR Conference in Orlando. And so we got these thermographers that were like, "Yeah, hey, this is definitely a real animal." Cliff, from my understanding, had it look to be CGI. You know what I mean? Doing all the checks.
Yeah, got it.
And his report is on his website. Okay. So you got the width of the tree, 27 inches wide, right? You've got the gap, the distance we were from it. You know what I mean? All the numbers and the math are there, which is another sticking point with me. Like, scientist in my house is a derogatory term. Okay, I'm a scientist, right? I think I know it all.
Get off
right?
my porch.
Yes, yes. You move the goalposts, right? So we know the area. We know the spot. You can replicate everything. You could try to replicate everything, right? Tell us how we did it. If there's no Bigfoot, I've got the math. We know how big the tree was. Multiple people have been to the site. You know what I mean? That will back it, right? So please tell me, if Bigfoot's not real, then tell me what we did. And Cliff said, I seen him speak at the first Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, and he brought it up, and he said, they're not intelligent enough to pull this off. Right? So I called him out on stage about that, and he was in the audience watching me. And he's like, "Did I actually say that?" I'm like, "You did, but it's okay because you're right." I'm not tech savvy. I can't do, I'm tech savvy now. At the moment, I can't do CGI. I don't know that anybody's intelligent enough to pull that off, because you have to have a creature that is one solid heat signature, right? The thermal don't lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you had to cross that gap.
That's true, because if it's somebody with clothing on, you'd see the differences, right? Of
course you would.
Yeah.
You had to also cross that gap.
Right. Physically cross it.
And to be able to move fluidly, right? So that's my thing. Why can't there be a paper on the footage? Right. Why can't there be?
There shouldn't be a problem with that.
Why can't there be a scientific paper? Because if you want proof of Bigfoot, I believe we already got it. The science, they want the numbers, they want the math. It's there. We know the site, but you don't want to hear it still. You still don't want to hear it because you move the goalposts every single time. But we proved the Billy ape exists from a photo. You know what I mean? They got a photo of that thing first, and that's what was the actual proof of it before they got DNA. I have it. We have it. It's online. Read Cliff's report. That's the one thing. Like, if you read the two together, it is the best documented piece of evidence there is, because not only do you have the thermal video and Cliff's report, I got the video of how it went down. The handycam was rolling from the campsite to the tree and back to the campsite.
Yeah, you got the whole thing.
Got it all.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Jack's gonna, unless you have a problem with it, I'd like to overlay the footage while we're talking about it, because I want people to be able to see what you're describing. But you said a little while ago that you believe it's the best outside the Patterson Gimlin film, and I agree with you. I agree. As somebody who doesn't know all the Bigfoot videos out there and stuff, for me personally, when I look at that, I'm like, that's right up there.
Right.
That's right up there. And hearing the story, because you and I have never talked about this, and I've never heard you tell this story, and I'm sure you told it hundreds of times, but it's just, it's me. I don't know how people can get around certain evidences that they come across. And that video, and now hearing the story, it just adds to it to me. Like before you see the video and you're like, okay, if I want to be skeptical, somebody's faking it. Somebody just, whatever. Hearing the story, knowing that there's a handy cam footage of how it went down, knowing that, Bobo tried replicating it. What is he, like 6'4" or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty big guy.
It was until...
And back then, he was even bigger.
Yeah. My dad didn't believe it was a Bigfoot until he saw Bobo.
Made him a believer.
That was it.
Wow.
That was a solid moment on it. You know what I mean? And if I don't never do anything else in the world, I did that.
How often do you go back to that area?
It got destroyed by Hurricane Michael. Yep, Hurricane Michael sat over that park for 8 hours, a Category 5 storm, and spun and spun. Now the Bigfoots are coming back. I'm now starting to get reports back out of there, but you've seen the Tunguska, is that how you say it? Tunguska, the Russia, the meteor that hit and destroyed all them trees. You know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely. How long ago was this?
70s. Tunguska. I could pull it up on my phone. I'm going to get my phone out. But anyways, it's a spot in Russia
look it up.
where a meteor exploded.
Yeah.
And it just wiped out all the trees for miles and broke them all off about 8 foot tall.
I'm sure I've probably seen.
Yeah, you have. I know you have.
Yeah. I see things without knowing the names. And
look exactly like that.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. So the whole time the hurricane was sitting there, you're like, you're probably going crazy.
Oh, yeah. And then it cost me like $15,000, that hurricane.
The equipment you had out there?
Oh, no. I was shooting. I filmed The Pit with Les Stroud, and the hurricane came in the weekend we were shooting, so I had to cancel everybody. But at the same time, I had already booked everybody. You can't, if you're paying somebody, Les told me not to worry about the payment. Okay. Les is a friend of mine, good guy.
Yeah.
Love him to death. He told me not to pay him, but man, I booked you for your time. It's not your fault you couldn't make it. So,
yeah.
Wow. And I'm thinking the whole time, my Bigfoot spot's gone. We're out of $15,000. Oh my God, this is terrible. At least my house was spared because the storm just went over the next county.
Wow.
And just destroyed everything, dude. You couldn't even walk through there. I went through there a couple times, and then my father passed away shortly after. Right. And so I couldn't go back to the site. I'm shocked I'm able to talk to you about it now. Right. That was my best friend. This is the second time in my life I've lost my best friend. Don't be my best friend. Note of the day.
so you're not taking applications.
Yeah. And it's really sad. But at the end of the day, the way I see it, it's like I won the Super Bowl with my best friend.
Yeah, dude. Seriously. I mean,
whether anybody believes it or not, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Look at the math.
Isn't that a peaceful place to be at when you get to a point with whatever you've traditionally struggled with, where you're just like, I literally don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I know, and I don't care who thinks what.
Yeah, what's it going to matter?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you come to understand, it just doesn't matter, and there will always be somebody who is the opposition. If you can just come to live life knowing that no matter what you think, no matter what goes on, there will be an opposition to whatever is going through your brain. You're not caught off guard. I think that's the biggest thing, is that people get caught off guard. They believe in something so strongly, and they're caught off guard when somebody is like, well, actually, it's like, whoa, where's this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
When you just live life knowing that there's always going to be opposition. It's just like, whatever.
It's healthy. Okay. So you shouldn't believe me. You shouldn't believe anybody. You weren't there.
I believe you, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right?
Point,
you should always keep that skepticism. It's important in, I guess, everyday life, right? Whether we're talking about disclosure or whether we're talking about a Bigfoot sighting when you're sitting at a conference listening to some guy talk. Oh, I really like this man's show, so I'm going to listen to him, and I'm going to believe him wholeheartedly, and then you're going to defend him? Like, you see how it is on the online community. Oh, why are you so invested in somebody? You should be skeptical because everything is possible. Everything and anything is possible at all given times, So unless you were there to see it for yourself. And that's the way I am now. I'm not going to call anybody a liar. But I'm going to remain skeptical, because you need that. You need that. And because of that, skepticism was the reason we didn't just throw the footage out there, because had it been me, I just put the footage out there. And,
me too.
Yeah. But it was my dad's skepticism that led us to talking to Cliff, to getting Cliff to do the report. And in my opinion, the report that he did is more important than the footage itself.
It's the supporting evidence.
It is strong.
Yeah.
I don't know that you've read it, and I'll send it to you. But you should read it. It's strong. It's bulletproof. But yet and still we have scientists.
It's really nice to have somebody like Cliff, in the sense that he is so thorough and data driven minded, but he also comes from it's out there, because I can't do that. If I knew, I believe Bigfoot's out there, I believe these things are out there, I want to even say I know just because I believe so many of the people that I've talked to, but I've never seen it. I personally, if I knew Bigfoot was out there, I don't think I could have a real unbiased report for me, because of how I am. I'd be like, I seen the footage and I already know it's out there. What is there to prove? So the fact that he has been able to go through it and actually truly write a honest to God report, it says a lot about his approach to the topic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like him. Like I mentioned Shane Corson before and stuff. I mean, I don't know Shane very well, but I've had limited interaction. One thing I could tell you is that he knows his data. He knows his data. And
but he pushes the ape theory.
Well, yeah. But I was just gonna say, we're very different people, though, right? Like we're just different, and that's the thing, man. Like with this topic and all these topics, you're bringing people together over a topic, but these people are so different. They're so different. Atheistic to theistic to woo-woo to ape is just like, they're just so different. And just like I say how people have their thresholds of belief where, some people, if it takes seeing your video, I believe, to seeing your video and I still don't believe, it's going to have to literally urinate on me while I sleep in my tent, right. Then I'll believe, right? And so there's different thresholds of belief. I think it's a similar thing when it comes to the psychology of this. It's just like, there are people who believe, but they just can't mix what they believe in with other things. There's just so much different. There's different things that go into this.
It's funny because you want, whether you're an aper or a woo, you want the general public, your friends, your immediates that you want them to be open-minded, and you're mad at them. They're not open-minded because they laugh at you, because to them, like outside of this room, everybody thinks we're crazy.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But they won't open their mind to the other side of a coin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a catch-22
for sure.
There,
So you had a Bigfoot encounter. Was that what launched you into belief?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us that story of what it launched, how that all kind of unfolded. It launched you into belief. And you said you've been into Bigfoot since you were 6. So it's like you were into it, but you were more into it rather than believing, right? And so how did this whole situation unfold for you? How old were you?
So back in the day, I know we talked about kids growing up in the new world. We had this thing called the phone book.
Yeah,
right.
Yellow pages.
Yeah, well, they put the lady's name on there. I called her up. She's like, "Come out in November because the snakes are bad right now," which I guess she didn't realize who and I'm from the swamp anyways.
Yeah.
November rolls around and Daddy's sick. He can't make it. I take my bass player. We're going to work on some new tunes for the album. But we're going to do some Bigfooting while we're there because we're both very interested in Bigfoot. So we are, she gives us a little tour, BFRO guys, seen one there, got growled at over here. Here's some little structures, and we get dropped out at this place where she wants us to camp. Okay. And there's an old abandoned shack, 2-story shack. Looks like some dude just threw together, right? It looks like Jason Voorhees lives inside this shack, right? Like shack is the stuff nightmares are made of. You don't want to be around it, right? Anyways, we're camping there. And as she leaves, she goes, y'all the first people to ever camp overnight. Now, mind you, the BFRO has been investigating this site for 7 years, but nobody has ever stayed out there overnight. They're all scared of the dark, right? And the bottom line is
really
not mean. That's what it is, right? We're there. We start hearing noises walking around. Now, okay, so we're on a hill, right? There's a creek running west to east, and it joins a creek that's running north to south, right? So, and we're kind of right there. But the about 75 feet is where we're at. It drops down, and it's November. All the leaves have fallen. So we're going to get up. We're going to go hike the trails. So from our campsite, we had to walk about a mile to where we ended up sitting, maybe a little bit further. But it's by these little bitty structures, and they were only about knee high. Right, but they were kind of intricate, So we're sitting up there by these structures, and we're sitting facing a ravine. Now, I'm going to tell you the layout of the land because it's important to the story. We're sitting on a good size grade. It goes down into a ravine, and then it comes back up, and then there's one hill, and then there's another hill, right? So we're sitting there, just messing around, talking, and we notice the hickory nuts are falling uphill. That ain't how it works, right? When the hickory nuts fall, they go downhill. They're falling uphill and by us. So I had this thermal camera for because I was a fisherman, so we had a thermal camera to pick up wires that, if we had a short or something like that. That's all this thermal's for. It's a little i5, FLIR i5. It's got a screen on it. It'll light up the world. I scan. I get directly across from me, right? And there is a heat signature behind a little bitty tree, right? And scares us. We're psyched out now because we're here to write tunes for our record, but we're doing it in a setting where there's Bigfoot activity. This is going to be super fun. It's like going to a haunted house and recording an album. We're like, whoa, what is that? What is that? All right, let's get out of here. Let's go. We walk back a mile, to the camp. What we didn't realize is that one hill, that 2 hill, the 3rd hill was our camp. Right there. We were right there and didn't know. Right. Get back to the camp. We're hearing walking. Okay. Now an armadillo will sound like somebody bipedal. Okay. Hear him walking. And I'm like, we're getting freaked out at this point. We're psyching ourselves up. I'm like, yo, we need to calm down. All right. Calm down. I'm hearing it. I'm like, I'm tired of this. I've got my 44 Magnum. It's chrome, nickel plated, whatever you want to call it, on my hip. Very noticeable. The reason I got the gun is because if I ran out of ammunition, I could beat somebody down with it. The gun's huge.
Yeah.
I hold this spotlight up on this tree. I walk away into the wood line, right to where I heard the walking. I hold the spotlight there. I was like, you got to come out from behind the tree. I'm talking, right? And I'm going to sit there and hold this light. You got to come out at some point. I ain't got the balls to walk down to the tree.
Okay, so before you go any further, can you see a figure So it's a big tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big tree.
And are you thinking person right now? Even though you're big
I'm thinking landowners messing with us, even though they're old and overweight. Okay. Lady has lupus. The old man's kind of heavy set. Right. I'm holding the flashlight there. I'm like, you're going to come out from behind that tree. You know what I mean? I'm mad. I'm now psyched myself into this is somebody messing with us out here, and this ain't cool. Like, leave us alone. And like, seriously, like 8 to 10 minutes go by. I'm holding this flashlight. I'm sitting there waiting. You're going to walk out. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you're stupid. Turn around and walk back uphill. Second I get back out of the woods up to the hill where the clearing is, walking starts back. I can shine the light down there, but I can't see. You know what I mean? I can't see defined. Walking's going on. And you hear everything walking, right? The leaves are crunching, right? We're sitting there by the fire. I'm sitting on the cooler. Matt's over there in his chair. And have you seen Next Friday? Okay. Well, there's this character named Baby D. And Day Day's talking about her. And he's like, she be snoring. She ain't even be asleep. She be talking about Twinkie got a new cupcake to come out. You know, that's what we hear. And turn up and look. And there's this standing right there. About as wide as you got a washer and a dryer next to each other. You slap a head in the center of it. But it doesn't look like your Bigfoot that you would think. This thing looks like it lives in the swamp. It's lanky, not that big muscular build, long arms. It may have been 2 seconds. It may have been 5 seconds. It may have been 10 seconds. I don't know. I just remember looking at it and it turned and walked off. I look at Matt. We're absolutely terrified at this point. Okay. We had 2 tents. We had no plans on sleeping together. Those plans went out the window at that moment, right? I'm like, hey, you go ahead and go get in your tent, but I'm not going to sleep, right? Because not only is it walking, there's like some huffs that sound a lot like a buck or a deer do that, you know, and they'll grunt and stuff too.
And it came out to your camp?
Oh, yeah. Come up, walked out, looked at us, turned around, walked off.
And you saw it with the flashlight or fire? Or?
Oh, no, it was just right at the edge of the fire. There's something about the light that these creatures will not come into. I don't know if they don't understand it or if they're scared of it, but there's something about the light that, and people ask me, well, what do you carry for defense? I carry a flashlight. You want to run a Bigfoot out, you shine that light at him and gone in the moment. No problem. You know, what are you going to do with a 9mm? You saving it to kill yourself?
Yeah.
You know? So it walks back off, and now every noise we hear is a Bigfoot. Probably isn't, but it is to us. Mm-hmm. Okay. I end up falling asleep on the cooler. Sitting up. I wake up when my knee hits the ground. Right? I catch myself. Haven't heard nothing in a while. All right, maybe this thing's moved on. I'll go back and get in the truck, or go back and get in the tent and go to sleep. So climbing there with Matt. A couple hours go by. I wake up and Matt screaming. Okay, when I open my eyes, my tent is 6 inches from my face. This thing, and this is me thinking for it. Okay, I'm assuming he hears one of the two of us snoring. I don't snore. My old lady claims otherwise. But I don't snore. I'm a princess. So it must have been him. But anyways, it's pressing the top of the tent down.
So Matt, he's in the tent with you, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
So he's not outside.
Yeah. I told him when I went in there, I said, you can tell everybody at work whatever you want. I don't care. I'm sleeping in this tent with you tonight. You know? Wow. And then it runs off in the woods. Like I see the tent go back up.
Still dark out?
You know, yeah. It's like 3-4 in the morning.
Okay.
Runs off into the woods. It sounds like somebody was to drive an S10 just off into the woods. No road, just drive. Right? We're both up now. one of the tent poles is broke, right? And he goes, let's get in the vehicle. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting in the vehicle. I don't want to wake up and this thing's looking at me through the window. I am so scared. Like, I'm not a scaredy cat by no means, right? The woods are mine. I'm the apex predator when I'm in there. That's my mindset at the time, right? I didn't want to see this thing this far away from me. Look, I feel I might have died. Just a heart attack or whatever, you know? And I don't leave the tent. Matt goes and locks himself in there. We get up in the morning, and that's when he's like, you want to go get breakfast? We go get breakfast. We haven't decided we're staying another day. Okay. I call my dad, talk to my dad, tells me to punch me in the face if I come home. Right. So we decided to stay another day. What do we got to lose? Right. Because the first word that came out of his mouth when we were at Hardee's eating breakfast was, well, they didn't get us. Do you want to stay another night? And they did not get us. Okay. In the moment, it felt like
it.
Yeah. It felt like they were trying to get us.
There's an addiction that comes with that, though, right?
Brother.
Yeah.
It's like somebody gets addicted to skydiving, and that's me. Yeah. Right. So then we're there looking around the property. I've got video of the way it ran. It looks like somebody drove a truck through there. The trees are just down, and we're talking good trees, bay trees. They're green, right? They're just down. This thing tore off, and we see its path that it went. I got all this on video. If you want to overlay it in the show, I'll send it to you. Wow. But where we look around all day, finding more structures, more breaks. We don't even tell the landowner in case she's scared us, in case she's done this, in case they've got, because it was in our minds that maybe they've spent $10,000 on a suit. They're well-to-do people. They could afford it. They could very well afford it. Maybe they've got some other motive, right? Nothing happens in the daytime. No feelings of we're being watched. Nothing like that. We get to the camp. It gets dark again. Footsteps start back up. It's back. It's been here the whole time. It never left. Okay. So don't see it again. We don't leave camp that night. We don't leave the camp. We're debating just pulling up. And I mean, honestly, the reason we didn't leave before is because we had marijuana on us. Okay. Gotcha. And like, I didn't want to go to jail. We're driving late at night.
What year was this?
2011.
Oh, yeah. Big problem. Big problem.
Yeah. So, is what it is. Marijuana does not make you see things.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we're musicians. I said that part. You know what I mean?
Things that come with it, right?
Yes, yeah. Right. And Matt had been drinking. Okay. I never expected any of this to happen. So somewhere around 11 o'clock, the worst thing of the whole trip happened. And I told you those creeks, they converged, you know, he must have been right there. But because he was so close, he screamed, right? And you feel it. You feel it in your body. It's like, oh, I seen a dude when I was 14 ride his bicycle into traffic on purpose. And I seen it. I was working an asphalt job, and it was the same feeling. It's, oh, geez. You know, he screamed. And then the worst thing happened. Must have been a mile away. A reply. Right? And I'm like, he's calling Larry and the boys to come in. Right. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, we've decided to come to the zoo and camp inside the enclosure with the apes. But I guess that reply drew him to them because it all stopped. The rest of the night was peaceful. I slept maybe an hour, stayed up all night long, scared to death, brother. But it got quiet. And in the moment, I didn't think about it. But years later, when I started thinking this was maybe God putting me on a different path, because I made one YouTube video talking about that encounter, and it had 6 views, and a producer from the Howard Stern show was one of the 6 views, and he happened to be putting a show with Meldrum. So
that's wild.
Yeah. So what was it, November 11th 2000, or no, I can't remember the date right now. Anyways, it was in November 2011. January, I'm in Meldrum's office. Right? And then next thing you know, I'm doing all this other stuff, and we get the footage, right? Because I quit my band immediately. There's no more record. It's not coming out. I'm done. I'm going to go find that. I was 10 feet away from the Bigfoot. You know what I mean? Like, I can do this. I wasn't even trying. Now I know where they're at. I'm going to try. I'm going to kill this thing. And all them people that teased me, and it got even worse because I was very vocal about what happened. And I'm like cold asking people if they've seen anything. You know what I mean? I have no shame with that. I'll talk to a tree stump if it'll listen, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm asking people, and so I'm getting more and more noise, you know. Then the footage comes out, and it kind of changes. Everybody's now more open to tell me their stories and stuff like that. And that's how we got the Ranger encounter and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, it seemed like this was meant to be. This was full circle, because like I was interested in it when I was a young child. And then football, and like I was very good at wrestling. So wrestling became a big part of my life for a while. So Bigfoot was always on the back burner, and then my music blew up. We were 17 years old playing the college bars, drawing like 400 people at shows. You know, played on the radio stations there in the region. I gave all that up. I was going to be Kurt Cobain. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to off myself, but I was going to be Nirvana. You know, I wanted that. My family's all in country music. I got 12 members of my family in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Really? Yeah. Wow. And so I'm from a music family. Yeah. Right. So this is what I was going to do. And give it up like that, you know. And thinking back on it, that thing walked up that hill and never made a noise. And that's impossible. How did he go from where he was at last time we had heard him? Our conversation wasn't that riveting. He's not Katie Couric. You know, he's some dude from Woodville, to right there, and we never heard it. Not once did we hear it. But there it was. I heard the breathing. But I didn't hear his footsteps. You know what I'm saying? So that I started pumping it hard. I was going to kill it. I was going to be the one to bring all this in, you know, and then just a whole paradigm shift of doing the investigations with an open mind, and allowing your mind to be changed by the experiences that you have, right? It is what's happened to me. I started out an aper.
Yeah, and what you just described, though, is what we were talking about earlier. I don't feel like everybody has that ability to do that, to have a lived experience and allow their mind to change through their lived experience.
I don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, how can you not? But then again, I see people sit there like, this year the Miami Dolphins are going to suck. I know this.
That's how I am with the Sixers, the Philadelphia 76ers.
but if you get online, boy, them Tua fans, best thing since sliced bread. It's like, brother, we're one hard gust of wind away from this boy having another concussion and us going 0-12. Why can't you see it the way it is? You know,
that's how I feel about Embiid.
You know, and I'm not the smartest person in the room at any given moment, and for me to be able to land at that conclusion, why can't everyone else? It doesn't make sense to me. I understand the Bigfoot. I don't understand the people.
Not wired that way. So you listen. This is your journey is a wild journey. Like,
my journey brought me to sitting across from Wolverine and him picking on me about Bigfoot.
What are you talking about?
Talking about it, bro. was on a Spike TV show. They flew me to the Ink Master Live finale. I get into the room and Dave Navarro knows who I am. I get a phone call to be on a movie with Tom Green and Les Stroud. So like my son went from watching Barney to watching Les Stroud. So that's my son's hero growing up. My journey takes me to my hero being Tom Green growing up. You know, my bum is on your lips. My bum is on your lips. Yeah, dude. You know, and then here I am in a McDonald's drive-thru with my wife and Tom Green, and he's doing the daddy wants some sausage at the drive-thru window. My journey in this, that's why I tell you, when I say I think it was the Lord putting me on a different path, and people can scoff at that, whatever they want, but that's my truth.
Dude, the whole, I've well documented in saying the whole reason why this show even exists was because I felt God tell me this is what was going to happen.
You just have to listen.
You have to listen. But in order to listen, you know, you need to know your Father's voice too.
Yes.
And so I think there's a lot of times God is saying things to people, but they don't have the ears to hear it. They don't know how to hear his voice because they don't spend time with him.
Right.
And so I think, you know, but listen, you have a docu-series. Bigfoot, The Journey to Believe.
Yep.
It's going to be on merkelfilms.com. Tell people about this docu-series. Is it a docu-series on why people should be on a journey to believe, or is it documenting your journey to believe? How did this whole docu-series come together?
So last time I was in the studio, I was with an Outcast Paranormal group.
Yeah.
That group's no more. Conjuring House kind of fixed that up. But the cameraman, Joey,
the skeptic,
he sitting there running his skeptic mouth at me one day. Why don't you?
As one does.
Yeah. He's like, why don't you make me believe in Bigfoot? You know? And I was like, this guy's a Reddit troll. If I can turn Joey into a believer, I can turn everybody into a believer. Every person on this planet, if I can convince this dude that Bigfoot is real. Yeah. And so I was like, how would I do this? You know what I mean? And so it's got to be eyewitnesses, right? We'll go and we'll interview. I'm going to put him in front of 13 people who I believe are telling the truth. Okay, so I go through my files, my reports, and I pick these 13 people that got awesome stories. And so we go on this road trip to interview these people. Along the way, a theme presents itself that he picks up on that I didn't because I'm numb to the game at this point, right? He's like, Stacy, all these people are saying they called the cops. They called some type of law enforcement agency. They had to keep a record of that because we don't pay them to discern. We pay them to write down and document, right? So during this process, Joey gets, I'm going to do a free or a public records request with the FWC. Okay. And so he does it. And he asks for any reports pertaining to the keywords Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, or swamp ape. Those being regional names in Florida. Okay. Any emails or reports? Well, it was a loaded question. I knew of 3 reports. I was there for 2 of them. I know the officers that just sent out the dates and the times. And then there was also a post that they made on social media, right?
The police?
The FWC.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Also have all that information. So I figured if anything, we may get 9, 10 reports. Yeah. And I get more information about these reports where I was there or the one that they posted. They come back, and we didn't think we'd get much with the emails. Really didn't. I was like, how much can they really be talking about it? At this point, I don't believe in government conspiracy with the Bigfoot thing. Even though I've heard whispers, I don't believe in it. How many reports or how many emails do you think? And reports, just give me a number.
25, 30.
Reports or emails?
Oh, wait, that's right. Oh, shoot. Well, emails, because I was thinking like people who don't want to put their neck on the line to call, to report emails. I don't know. 50 to 75.
$73,313.
You first started with 73. I was like, oh, I'm not on the money. I was about to say, I'm on the money.
Yeah, no, you're not.
73,000?
73,313.
Holy. And that's just in that area?
That's emails. That's state of Florida.
The state of Florida.
State of Florida.
Holy.
They want, yeah, exactly. Right. They want $12,000 for those. Okay. That's just emails.
Oh,
so
$12,000?
Yeah. Because even though we pay them, we have to repay them.
Yeah. That's like getting taxed to earn money to get taxed to separate with money.
100%.
Yeah.
How many reports? What you think?
All right. So the email's 73,000. Reports. I mean, 1,000?
0. We have never sent an officer out to report. Okay. All right, then. So we'll counter you. What about this? Happened this day. Officer Ken White showed up for a call about a Bigfoot digging through garbage. It happened in Walton County. Happened on this date. Here's the photo from the scene. Tell me about that one. I know what happened then. They closed our report, closed our request, I should say, and quit talking to us. Will not talk to us this day. In the state of Florida, we have a sunshine law, right? Where if I request public record, you have to give it to me. Governor DeSantis has been really good about transparency. Okay. Whether you like him or not, you know, that's one good thing he's done. So we went and seen a lawyer who agreed to take the case. It's a matter of...
Your lawyer was just like, I just want to see where this goes.
Yes. Yes. And he used to work for the FWC.
Really? Wow. Okay.
So he shared some information with us off the phone, you know, off the record.
Yeah.
About how this agency operates. And then the kicker, then the best part. In News 6 out of Orlando, they have an FWC officer they interview talking about the skunk ape. And guess what he says? We get reports all the time. Here's some reports we've gotten, and names like 6 of them. Now, mind you, y'all just told us that you've never, ever gotten a report. So are you hiding something, or is this a dereliction of duty? Right? So if somebody's reporting the unicorns running across the road down on Highway 12, you need to keep that in the unicorn pile. As crazy as it sounds, we're not paying you to throw out information, because a unicorn may trample somebody to death in a couple years. And it's like, yo, hey, we have been hearing about this. As crazy as it sounds, you're paid to document. And so that was just our first public records request with the state. But as soon as we get the funding up to pay for the lawyer, because the lawyers aren't free, you know, the emails, you know how you mentioned earlier with the scientists pressing the book down and saying, don't look into this, is exactly what they told us. They sent us 20 for free that never mentioned any of those keywords. They're like, you're not going to find what you're looking for. It's 73,000. We're not sure why it's coming up like that, but don't even worry about it. Why would you, let's say I was selling t-shirts and you wanted to buy 100 t-shirts off of me. Why would I tell you, I'm selling t-shirts, by the way. Why would I tell you not to buy the t-shirts? Oh, these t-shirts ain't going to fit you, Tony. Don't you come in here and try to buy 100 t-shirts. I mean, what's your problem? Go do something else with your time, because that's what they told us. It ain't worth your time. Son, do something else. What? And so my skeptic Reddit troll friend, you see all this in the Journey to Belief. I'm not spoiling it. You'll see the process bust out. You'll see the actual emails that they sent us. He says the words out of his mouth. If you want it to look like a cover-up, this is exactly what you do. And that's where I'm at. So that's when it dawned on me that Stacy Brown's not special. Stacy Brown's seen a Bigfoot, and those are real. They know they're real too.
Yeah. Wow. And so the lack of transparency played a big role into his mindset shifting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that he's a full believer. We then went to...
Takes time.
We then went to boots on the ground. There was in the area where my father got his footage, there's the Ocheesee Pond Wildman capture that happened in 1874 or 1884, right? Well, they took that wildman after they captured it to the governor. So we went to the state archives. We did a document search with them, and lo and behold, in our range, these pages are they call them leaves.
No way.
These leaves have been removed.
Really?
Because they may have been damaged. Mind you, some of the leaves in that collection were like that big and you couldn't tell if anything was ever wrote on them.
Whoa.
But you remove these, what were on them? You know what I mean? It's just an odd coincidence. It may be nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But it's still there. And it's still odd. But then we go to our last stop, which is in southern Alabama. And we have an experience not only with the lights. There was a handprint when we showed up. The property owner actually, I was like, man, it'd be great if I could take this railing home. He goes and gets a skill saw and cuts his own railing off his porch and gives it to me and sends me home with it. And it's weird because like even Joey was, when he was looking at it, because Flat Rock knew about the one handprint that was on top. Okay. Flat Rock didn't know about the handprint that was on the bottom of the rail. And we found that one. Right.
Wow.
And then we had an encounter with the lights while I was doing a decoy. So I, once again, I told you not scared. That might be a lie. But so we do a decoy session where I get in a Bigfoot suit.
Oh,
right?
shoot.
And I put those pheromone chips up on me.
Ooh.
And so I'm no flashlight, jumping around like a Bigfoot, banging on trees. My buddies are in the bushes with thermals filming me. And as we're doing this, I'm banging on trees, and this is going on about 15 minutes. I can't see anything. I'm just seeing these lights start to appear, right? And I had to keep touching my eyes to make sure my eyes are open. It feels like my eyes are open, but I can't see anything. I'm banging on trees, and then you hear, and I'm like, and I pause. I look over at them, and I'm like, they're not going to help me. They're not going to help me if something happens.
Yeah.
And so we end that one right there. We were out of there on that moment, but then they filmed something at the end. And it's there. It's a living object. What it is, I don't know. Their deal was Richard, the guy that filmed it, it was just standing still for so long that he thought it couldn't be anything. It hasn't moved at all over 10 to 15 minutes. These things will wait you out. They do not care. They've got nothing but time. Then they don't perceive time the way we do. Nothing does. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's turned it to where at the end of the series, he's like, I got some more questions. You know what I mean? As somebody who went into the process with Bigfoot's not real, it's going to be a big nothing burger. We're not gonna, and then he ain't that guy anymore. I can see the wheels turning in his head and stuff. And so season 2 is going to be a doozy.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I can't wait. So you're gearing up for multiple seasons, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna make him a believer.
That's awesome. And I've seen that happen with people. Jack, my producer, he's like that too. I mean, I think Jack would probably still say you're skeptical, I suppose, right? I mean, it's not like you're.
Yes.
Yeah, but like you're like, let's put it this way: when he moved here, fairly often, I wanted to give him the people's elbow because of his skepticism was annoying the crap out of me.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not so much anymore. And I don't think it's because I've gotten used to him, because I think it's because he's seen enough with me and heard enough to know that there's something going on. I think when you came down here, it was more like you weren't that interested in the topic and you just thought it was ridiculous. But I think that's changed a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, almost completely. I was just talking to Derek about it the other day that like pretty much almost everything about what I believe has changed in the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Like just not necessarily that you believe everything completely.
Do you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are angels singing right now. Like I can hear the angels singing. Hallelujah. You know? But it's I think it's a beautiful thing seeing that process. And the documentary or docu-series is doing that, which I think is really cool. So at the sound of you guys hearing that out of my mouth saying that, you can go to merkelfilms.com. It is the newest docu-series available there right now. Go ahead and binge your heart out with season 2 apparently on the way in the works. So that's cool. Let me ask you a question, man. Yeah, why not? If I'm a little late for the kids, why not? What you saw that night, your first time, you said it was lanky and things like that. Somewhere along the line in this conversation, we talked about how things are described. I can't recall exactly what it was, but what you saw that night, we're calling a Bigfoot. Do you think it's possible that sometimes with these topics that we're discussing, it might be better if we called these things, like we were talking about the idea of dogman and werewolf, and where's that name come from? You know, like, where's dogman come from? You know, they've always been called werewolves. Instead of calling them Bigfoot, maybe monster appropriate?
100%.
Because the way you described it is not the way Pacific Northwest looks at all.
No,
and you mentioned about the snout on somebody else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we default want to categorize things like we were talking about, but maybe the broader term is just there's monsters in the woods.
So you hear the term booger, right? Boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, if you called him a demon, I wouldn't stray far from that, right? I think when it comes down to your descriptions of Bigfoot, you also have to look at the people in the Pacific Northwest versus the people in the South. Skunk ape is generally reported as a much more angry, scary creature. And I think that's more based in reality. Okay. I think out here in the West Coast, you have a more hippie vibe, more friendly vibe. I don't need to carry a gun. You know what I mean? Because
force friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're not going to see what you're presented. You know what I mean? But it also may be tailored to the person somehow or another. Monster is really the term that's closer to reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we described it.
But demon to me is even more. Tony, I see this thing in my nightmares. Okay, so at my house where I'm at now, there's no possible way that we're having Bigfoot activity, but my house gets slapped.
Been there.
What is that? Right? What is it? I'm sitting on the back porch at 2 a.m. and I'm hearing knocks. Yeah, mind you, I live in about 4 acres of woods. There ain't no Bigfoot there, bro. There's not. But I'm hearing stuff. Rewind to the FWC thing. They sent me on a report. Okay, they sent me to interview a guy. I pull up in the hood. Okay, there's a large landfill near this place. Knock on the door, cold call, right? So a black lady answers the door, and I'm like, ma'am, this is going to sound weird, but the FWC told me that maybe your grandson or your husband. She goes, oh, you hear about the Bigfoot? I was like, oh, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. This kid comes out, okay, gold teeth, wife beater on, straight looks like a rapper, right? He knows nothing about Sasquatch, not a thing at all, okay? He proceeds to tell me right? He walks me back to his backyard to show me. He said, you see where the shed is? He goes, it was this tall, blah, blah, blah. He said, it spoke to me. I said, like it talked to you? He goes, in my head, it spoke to me. He said, because I threw my black and mild down and it told me to pick it up. And he said, I can't speak to its mind. So I spoke out loud and said, hell no. And then I ran inside. And then he said he had dreams of it coming and eating out of their trash cans. And then he would wake up and the trash can would be raided. Right. And then he said he kept having these nightmares like it was connected to him. Right. And then he has his second encounter with the creature where it's telling him, why are you not scared of me? And he's like, I am scared of you. And he goes, I'm not going to hurt you. And he said, I'll come back. And then it walked off. And this kid knew nothing about telepathy, knew nothing about the Bigfoot world. He knew nothing about glowing eyes. This kid knew about what this kid knows about, you know what I mean? But it was far from, being seasoned on the Bigfoot thing. The FWC sent me out there because it was a joke, right? So when you have somebody, in my opinion, who's far removed from knowing anything about Bigfoot, and they're telling me things that I've experienced, it solidifies that. But he was the only person to ever tell me it's like I'm linked to it in its mind. And I feel the same way with my nightmares that I'll have because I'm sleeping with my son when he's young, right? It was after my encounter, a couple years after my encounter. I sleep with him in his bed until he falls asleep, and I go to my bed. Sometimes I would doze off. I'm laying there asleep, and I wake up, and this thing's standing there in the doorway looking at me, right? Maybe that's a PTSD or whatever. The dream felt real. Like if you've seen a loved one that's passed in your dream, you know what I mean? Some people report that have had that happen. It was like that. And my house is getting slapped. I'm hearing knocks. This thing didn't follow me 70 miles to my house. It's not possible. There's nothing to eat around my house anyways, you know. There's more to this game. There's more to this topic. Bigfoot, I think, is a good generalization. I think demon is more kind of the truth. That's why I said, be careful what you wish for. Because you asked me earlier, you think about this every single night? 100%. Can't get it out of my head. I will forever go to my grave being that. If that's what you want, go for it, brother. I hope you the best, but I promise you, just talk to people about it. That would be my advice.